Start. It was exactly 25 years ago that the United Nations organization was born. After a brutal and insane war which had cost scores of millions of lives and had caused untold human misery and economic disaster all over the globe. The representatives of a large number of nations with a firm determination to root out the causes of tension and conflict from the world, joined hands in creating the United Nations. They did so in the hope that all nations, big and small, would, in peace, freedom, and mutual cooperation, channel their wills and energies to the pursuit and realization of the fullest development of man. They sought to build peace on the basis of a firm and solid foundation. They recognized that it was not enough to establish conditions for international security at the political plane alone. It would also be necessary to ensure universal respect for and observance of human rights and universal respect for an observation of human rights and fundamental freedoms and to promote economic and social progress and development. In other words, the United Nations Charter was an attempt, the first one of its kind in the history of mankind, to tackle the problems of peace in a comprehensive manner, covering the entire spectrum of measures necessary to create a world in which men everywhere could live in security and without fear. Thus, a new hope was born for the mankind, hope of securing individual and national freedom, human dignity, economic and social welfare of the people, and peace of mankind. The United Nations organization symbolized this hope as in the history of all institutions, the period of 25 years has been a mixture of achievements and disappointments for the United Nations. In 1945, 52 countries were members of United Nations. Today there are 127. Though the new nations members of the international organization have achieved their independence largely through their own efforts, the United Nations can justly claim its share of credit in the process by encouraging and helping them in becoming masters of their own destinies. The adoption and codification of instruments of on human rights is among the most noble contributions of the organization. The role played by the United Nations in diffusing many an international crisis merits proper recognition. The paramount problems of economic development and dissemination of technological knowledge, which are the special concern of the majority of the world's population, have found a response in the United Nations programs and policies in recent years. At the same time, one is also painfully conscious of the lack of inadequate progress in several fields of United Nations activities. The existence even now of the racist and colonialist regimes in South Africa and the Portuguese colonies of Africa and Asia is a grim reminder of the distance yet to be traversed before the world is completely free of colonialism. The United Nations has also not been able to effectively discuss and deal with some of the most burning issues facing the world today. The gap between the rich and the poor continues to widen. The goal of general and complete disarmament is no nearer attainment today than when it was proclaimed by the General Assembly 11 years ago. In the course of this eventual quarter of a century, the United Nations and its family of organizations have come to stand for the noblest aspirations of man. The United Nations system now covers practically all spheres of human activity, the search for peace and security, the quest for social justice, and the pursuit of development in its widest sense. Nations have by now acquired the habit of getting together on a regular basis and in an organized manner to discuss their varied and manifold problems and to agree upon cooperative and concerted measures to deal with them. Results may not be as readily forthcoming as one would like them to be, but what matters is that the effort is being made. There is a growing awareness that the only way to a better and more creative world lies through partnership in common endeavor. The United Nations has oft, often, often been criticized for its ineffectiveness. It has been said that it does no more than adopt resolutions which comport the conscience but do not solve the problems they are meant to tackle. The non-democratic structure of international relations today is one of the factors responsible for the ineffectiveness of the United Nations. All its members have, have not yet been equally involved in decision making on important issues of war and peace, economic development, and independence and sovereignty. 53 non aligned countries, members of the United Nations, in a statement on the United Nations adopted at the historic Lusaka conference last month recognized that there had been a growing tendency on the part of great powers to bypass the organization in the solution of international problems of crucial importance. It is matter of great satisfaction that the General Assembly at its current session has already taken positive action by adopting certain momentous declarations. The declaration on the principles governing friendly relations between states is the result of many years of difficult, patient, and meaningful negotiations. The principles inscribed in this declaration constitute a landmark in the development and codification of international law, and their observance by all members of the Committee of Nations would greatly strengthen the fabric of world peace. The year 1970 also marks the 10th anniversary of the Declaration on the Granting of Independence to Colonial Countries and Peoples. I am happy to note that the General Assembly has already adopted a program of activities on this subject to be implemented at the international, regional, and national levels. The aim is to evaluate the activities over the past 10 years to give effect to the provisions of the declaration to determine their shortcomings, and in the light of that evaluation, taking into account the various obstacles to decolonization to formulate specific proposals designed to eliminate the remaining manifestations of colonialism. Stop.